World of Warcraft's 9th expansion, Dragonflight, will be launching on November 28th, and the pre-patch portion of the game is already well underway. Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, whilst in part bringing some merits to the game, have for many caused a drop in interest in the retail direction of the game. We've had some missed expansions in the past before, a few times over you could say, but never what many people would consider to be two of them in a row. Dragonflight, more so than any expansion before it, has a ton to live up to and a lot of work to do. I know usually my videos focus more on the classic version of the game, but I have played World of Warcraft right from the beginning. I've seen expansions come and go, ones I've liked and ones which I have given a miss, and I thought it might be useful to give the perspective of what is at this point mainly a classic player on the upcoming expansion. But first, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Warplanet Online. Warplanet Online is a tactic-based, massively multiplayer military game, pitting players against one another or AI across a real-time world map. Warplanet Online is available on PC, Mac or mobile, and has you tactically recruit commanders, build up resources, manufacture units, and send out your army to conquer a real-time World War battlefield. What I like most about the game is that you can go to England, and let's be real, who wouldn't want to do that? Upgrade and assemble your base in order to survive enemy assaults, as well as teaming up with other player factions from around the world to form alliances and defend against enemy nations. The scale of this game is truly massive, capturing the essence of a world at war where you can conquer it all. Warplanet Online is also celebrating the 40th anniversary of Rambo First Blood by including John Rambo himself on special missions to aid players on a successful campaign and be their own one-man army. Warplanet Online is also doing a giveaway. The first 40 players who download the game and reach level 10 up to November 10th will win a $100 Amazon e-gift card. Head over to the video description now and click the link or scan the QR code on screen and get 4,000 army units T1 and 4,000 medals to help kickstart your game and be within a chance to win a $100 Amazon e-gift card. Many thanks to Warplanet Online for the sponsor today. Let's talk WoW. I want to start off talking about leveling in the pre-patch quick, as this isn't super obvious information, and if you haven't played retail in a while, I think this is really good to know. So retail has something called Chromie time, where you can pick an expansion and level there until you are up to the starting point of the current expansion, which at the moment only goes up to level 50. You can find Chromie at these locations in Stormwind or Orgrimmar with the hourglasses on the map. Now currently there's a 50% buff to all experience called Winds of Wisdom active in retail, which is ending on the 15th of November alongside Evoker's releasing. What will happen then is Chromie time will be extended to work up to level 60 alongside a big XP squish to all older world content. Now personally, I'm not really a fan of Shadowlands leveling through the story, and to my surprise I like Threads of Fate, which is leveling through doing endgame daily stuff even less. And I know from many past experiences that you can do Gorgrond in Warlords of Draenor in about 1 hour, and it's just such an unbelievably stack zone for XP that I kind of want to go and do that again. I might even go do Wrath content, to be honest. I'm really familiar with it at the moment. There will also be Elemental Invasions starting on the 15th as well, which can be used to farm some catch-up gear, toys, and so on. It's literally the invasions from Legion again, and hey, I actually really like that pre-patch. It was great for gearing characters you hadn't played in ages, and it was also super fast leveling, so I'm kind of expecting the same thing here to happen again. So for the pre-patch, if you're playing it now that is, for me at least it would be more about checking out the new UI, balance, the abilities, making sure your macros and add-ons work and all of that. The 15th of November with Evokers and the Elemental Invasions is when I would start leveling characters properly and generally just playing a bit more. So now we're going to go over some of the core features in brief, and then we can talk about expectations a little bit. First up, no borrowed power, at least at launch that is. Okay, there are tier sets if you really want to call those borrowed power, but no system like Azerite or Artifact power, no doing your daily X or weekly Y character maintenance. Dragonflight is the first time in many years that your character has more or less the full toolkit from the moment you hit level cap. Blizzard have truly swung the pendulum right in the other direction, and in many ways the endgame loop of Dragonflight resembles that of TBC or Wrath of the Lich King much more than BFA or Shadowlands. One of the first things that'll hit you when you log in is the user interface rework. Blizzard have finally decided to more or less put some add-on features into the game. You can now enter an edit mode from right-clicking your portrait or from the exit menu and shift about just about everything which is on your screen, including the cast bars, action bars, and so on. Not everything is resizable though, so maybe you will want to stick to some add-ons. I messed about with it for about 30 to 40 minutes before I was happy. I think it's not too bad though. The options menu in the game has also had a huge series of changes and is dramatically different, but there is a search bar at the top in case you're having problems finding anything, which I found super useful. There's a new race and a new class, and only the new race can be the new class. Those are Dragonflight and Evoker. Side note, you can make Tauren rogues now, and Draenei rogues. I just thought I'd throw that in case you've ever wanted to. This new male-wearing caster-focused class can either perform as a ranged DPS or a healer, and I'm just gonna say it, this is like when Mr. Pandaria released all over again. Oh man, look at how dumb these pandas are, I'm not playing a kid's game and all that stuff, and Mr. Pandaria ended up being pretty awesome by many accounts. It might not be the best to judge a rather scaly book by its cover. Maybe. Anyways, the new class, first one since Legion mind you, also introduces a new form of hold and release combat to World of Warcraft, as several of their more powerful abilities power up the longer they are charged, and they have a lot more aiming to their rotation, be it for healing and DPS, than many of the other existing classes as well. They do feel quite involved from what I've seen so far. We have big talent trees making a return. This is the largest talent tree system we have ever seen in World of Warcraft, and there's even more choices here than in Wrath. Now there are two parts to your talent trees. There's your class bit of the tree and then the specialization bit of the tree, and you can pick and choose your way down both of these and put together something you think will work. It could be completely garbage of course, or it could do super well. That's the fun of trying. You can also search for talents via a box, import and export setups, change talent points at any time without any inscription tone or needing to be in a rested area, and save multiple different loadouts. Now I will say initially it looks like a bunch of your old baseline class spells have been taken out of the spellbook and put into the talent tree, and yeah, there is kind of an element of that if I'm being honest, but there's more or less a mix of every single iteration your class has seen since Legion on these talent trees, and it's mixing and matching stuff which is bringing new things to the table for the most part. Also the whole won't people just copy paste something from Wowhead or Icy Veins? Yes, of course they will. That's how talents work. They always have done. Blizzard even allow you to import setups now. If you want to copy a build, then go for it. If you want to experiment, do that instead. I'd still almost guarantee whatever happens, you'll end up with a more single target focused build and a more AoE focused one. Mileage on interest for the new class and talent reworks does vary quite a bit though. Warlocks for instance are looking really good, but I've heard from some other specializations such as Feral, Shadow Priest or Retribution Paladin as though they have concerns which have not been addressed yet. Do check out things on your own in your own time here though. Raiding and Mythic Plus will of course be making a return, as will there be world bosses in Dragonflight. Raids in retail still have a wide variety of difficulties, ranging from looking for raid all the way up to Mythic 20-man for the best gear and toughest challenges. Rated solo PvP will now also be in the game, named Solo Shuffle, where 6 players play 6 rounds of 3v3 arena and teams are mixed up at the end of each round. This allows the PvPer with a bit less free time to invest in a static team the chance to work towards seasonal rewards. A revamped profession system is aiming to get people more interested in having dedicated crafters in World of Warcraft once again, and wants to make it feel more like a viable endgame path of progression. Profession specializations make a return with the likes of armor smithing or weaponsmithing for blacksmithing, for example. There's a new set of secondary profession stats to make the things you craft potentially better, such as inspiration, which improves the quality of your work, or resourcefulness that makes you use less raw materials. A crafted item's quality will also be boosted by a combined number of inputs, such as the crafter's skill and materials used. In short, the most skilled crafters with the best materials will make the best gear, at least for crafted gear that is. Now there are also work orders, which is in very short commissioning a crafter to make a particular item for you. Now I would talk more about this, but it's only gone on the beta for testing on the 27th of October. Surely it'll be fine for launch though. The way reputations work has been reworked, gone are friendly, honoured and all those for Dragonflight. Instead now it more resembles how Renown worked in Shadowlands, which if you didn't know was you go do stuff in the open world, you earn Renown, and then you gradually unlock rewards on a track system, as shown here. There are 4 main factions with loads of rewards, and the Renown system gives the chance to add more at a later date. Dragon riding is marked as a major content feature as well. This is a new system affecting certain certain mounts, and you're given a chance to test it very early on into the expansion. Imagine if flying actually had things such as gravity, velocity, and, well, just being a bit more realistic in general. That is dragon riding, unless you're so inclined where you can hop on a griffin and immediately fly vertically, because why not? Dragon riding features a new talent-esque progression path and can be upgraded via collecting glyphs throughout the world, which is an account-wide feature. There will be many new dragons you can customize their luck, and I think this is a space which Blizzard will be expanding on as the expansion progresses. Who knows, maybe they even work dragon riding into a raid encounter. Imagine that, you heard it here first. So those are most of the major changes which I wanted to talk about. What is potentially a worry or a red flag here? There are a few I can outline straight away. I've had some notable frame rate issues since the pre-patch has launched. The UI customization doesn't let you resize everything, and there are certain bars which tend to move themselves about a bit without me having done anything. Also, work orders have just entered the beta now. The pre-patch is out. Who is going to be testing on the beta? Not a lot of people. I also have this feeling people are gonna say Dragonflight has nothing to do. Busy work has been heavily built into the game since Legion, which was in 2017 by the way. It's been 5 long years of logging in and being told what you are going to be doing today. Dragonflight has pulled back on that quite a bit, and this isn't a Warlords of Draenor level of nothing to do, where after Garrisons and Raid there was legitimately, well, just not a lot to do as a whole. Warlords of Draenor didn't have Mythic Plus, it didn't have solar rated PvP, it didn't have pet battle dungeons, it won't have fated raids later on in the expansion, it didn't have chromie leveling, it did have time walking but it was introduced kind of late on, and we have a more fleshed out version of time walking now, and so on and so forth. And for me, coming at it as a classic player angle, I prefer this. I prefer to be able to play my character as much as I want whenever that is, and not be falling behind if I miss daily grinds. You can raid log already in Wrath if you really want, and I don't even think that's a bad thing. There are other games out there and other things you can be doing other than World of Warcraft, believe it or not. If we get 1 month into Dragonflight and the forum posts and the Reddit threads start appearing saying, what am I supposed to do now, Blizzard? Then oh boy, be prepared to get put back on the rails when the next expansion happens, and that's all I'm gonna say. I think if you really are on the fence about Dragonflight, the objectively smart thing to do is wait it out and actually see how things play out in the expansion after the initial hype has died down, which won't be till late December by the way, seeing as the raiding content opens on December 13th. But for me, if there is a time to play an MMO or an expansion or whatever else you want to call it, it's at the launch of it. It's at the beginning. This is how MMOs go. They tend to be a lot of fun when a lot of people are playing them. And if I have fun for 1 month and then decide, actually I don't like it, it is what it is. I have Ulduar to look forwards to in Wrath, and hey, if I do like it, I'll put some more time into it. I don't feel like even though I pay a subscription for the game, it needs to be all that I do with my free time. And the fact that, well, looking at it at the moment, Dragonflight appears to respect your time a lot more than previous expansions, I'm willing to give it a go based off more or less just that alone. Also, it kind of all depends on how fun classes are to play, but I really need to put in hours at level cap with all my talent points to say for sure there. In any event, I kind of want to finish up with a very canned answer, which is the standard cautiously optimistic. You know, all the stuff you usually hear from people who make WoW videos about WoW expansions, but here I'm going to say until I've actually experienced it at endgame with all the systems working and having seen how classes play out, it's kind of hard to say. For me, I'll be giving it a go, and I'll do a follow-up video after launch on how I think things are going. In any event, it's got to be a little bit more positive than BFA or Shadowlands. Right guys? Right? Let me know your thoughts on the major features we went over here, and are you giving Dragonflight a go? Are you holding off, or is it just a straight up no for you at this point in time? As always guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.